This is a quick video to show you how to extend your worktop on a desk. You already have a desk, you want to extend it. So what I've done is, this desk was too short and had a little bit of an extra piece on the end which didn't really look nice because there's a bit of a difference in height on the desk. You can see I've zoomed out a little bit. So I've actually got a worktop on top of this desk now. So you can see there's actually a worktop on here. You can do this in a number of different ways. I did it in the easiest way, which I found, and it's not much of a hang off, but I get an extra foot on the end, which that is how much extra desk space I've got at the end of my desk now. So that's an extra foot. That's quite a lot of real estate for your desk setup. Keeps my monitor and mouse and like extra stuff on, which I wouldn't be able to fit on a normal desk. I've still got space on the main desk. I'm going to talk through today and give you an idea of how to do this, how I did it. It was fairly easy. I'm using cable management trays on the back of the desk, and that's what's actually clamping it together. So I didn't physically screw it to the desk. You can add double-sided tape just to give it a little bit of, so it doesn't slip or slide if you want to go a bit fancy, if you got tools. I'm going to say use without tools. This is an easy way to do it, and don't extend it too far so that when you push on the end everything lifts up. Keep the heavy things in the middle and you should be okay. I'll show you this next clip now of how I've done this and put it together. First point of call was just to clear the desk of all the debris and extra stuff I got on there. This desk actually already had a bit of an issue. This is an electric desk that I've bought on Amazon, and it's two sections that come together, and they were actually coming apart slightly. So I was a little bit worried about the desk already because it didn't look as good as it could do. So what I've done here is actually been able to cover that old work surface with this new laminate flooring, and it's a great idea because it interlocks together. And I'm just wiping everything down here just because it's going to be a good point to give it a good disinfectant clean. So there's any sections between that just to keep it all nice and clean basically. So you'll see the boards themselves, they're about 1.5 centimeters, which is about 15 millimeters thick. They're not very heavy, because that's something I wanted to keep in mind. With the electric desk I've got here, it goes up and down. So it's important to have a desk that can still maintain that capability and not be too weighted down. So I looked at some kitchen worktops as well as thick wood worktops, which were quite heavy, and I didn't want to put extra weight on here unnecessarily. And this actually has got clamps, so we use the podcast microphones on each end. So there's clamps for those as well as clamps on the back of the desk, which is the cable management trays. So what I will be doing is putting these boards under those so the clamps actually hold them in place. So it'll reduce me having to put any tape between them to stop it slipping and sliding, as well as there's always going to be downwards pressure on here as we're sitting and podcasting, probably putting our elbows on there, and there's going to be stuff on the desk anyway, so that should be okay. So you can see these boards are a good measurement because they actually reduce the need for any joins. It's like one clean board all the way across the width of the desk. So you remember in the start I showed you the extra little plank I had under the monitor. I can actually remove that now because I've got these that interlock together, and they have the nice even surface all the way across, no upper and lower sections. So when I've got my mouse, I won't have to have a slight dip in like the mouse mat. So these are working quite nicely for me. I've got my top down camera where I'm going to show you a quick view on this. And the good thing with these planks is if you get a couple of colors, you can actually change these out each time. So at the moment it's a light effect. I can get a darker mahogany effect, which would work quite nicely. And these interlock, which means they won't be sliding around and there's no gap in between. It's got a nice feel to it. It looks good. I've got extra capability of keeping things on the desk. Let me show you what I mean. I've just pushed these here just to show you. But if I slide this away, see that old wooden plank thing I had there? That was my extra section on the desk. But now this is all going to be one clean surface. I was keeping my monitor on there. There was not too much overhang. I wouldn't suggest going too far with these, because if you accidentally lean on the end, you might end up pushing everything off your desk. Because remember, at the moment, I haven't screwed this down or stuck it to the table itself. So you need to be mindful how you're doing this and also what you're going to plan to keep on it. My other desk is more of a show podcast desk, so a lot of light use, and we're not going to be putting extra weight on there. The little thin monitor I've got on the end is for live stream, so that will actually keep most of the weight of the desk on the actual desk, if that makes sense. So you'll see here now I'm just loosening the cable management trays under the desk and sliding my new worktop underneath that, which keeps it locked in place. And then the next floorboard, I'm going to call it, it's a laminate board which butts up against that. And then you can use your monitor stands or if not, you can get clamps that you can actually use. I might put links in the description, so check out those links for clamps on Amazon that you can use if you don't want to use screws or drills and do anything of such. So here's the last piece going on the end, and all I'm going to do is position it where I want it, clamp them all down so they actually work quite nicely. And it does look quite nice. It looks like an interesting option. Remember, I will be putting a mouse mat on top of this because we want a least amount of noise possible when we put things on the desk, because we're podcasting, we want good quality audio. So you'll see here now it's coming together nicely. Here's the mouse mat, which will actually finish it off quite well, to give it that extra feel and look of a nice setup. And we've got a slight extra bit of light on the desk, which is nice because that bounces up and fills in our shadows on our faces. So when we're doing our video podcast, it's actually a good idea to have a lighter desk, especially if you've got light coming from a 45-degree like we have up the top. So here's a quick look at that new improvement now. It's all one section going across. I've put a new worktop on here, which isn't an expensive option. I'll put a link in the description. It's laminate flooring. You actually interlock it together. I've got 3 sections of it that I've locked on top of the desk. Fits nicely. I've left a little bit of a gap there. Let me zoom you out so you can see how long the desk actually is. Got some cable management trays in the bottom. The desk actually finishes. Yeah, I've got that much extra space in all directions. But that is how much extra desk space I've got at the end of my desk now. So that's an extra foot. That's quite a lot of real estate for your desk setup, so I can keep my mouse, my keyboard, a drink. And you'll notice I've got a sneaky monitor here, so when I'm doing live streams, I've got a really big monitor there, which is like a TV. Then I've got a close-up if I need to see details. So this hopefully helps you if you're thinking about doing an upgrade yourself and how this all works. You also see my top-down camera there, which basically shows you the desk setup. So this is a podcast setup. We use multiple mics. We've got some lava lamps on the go. And the more space we have, the better. I could technically extend a little bit further here. However, I walk around there, so I didn't want to make that too long. So it works very nicely. It's a good option. Hopefully this helps you if you're thinking about this as well. Now, this is what we're going to be using. There'll be a 2-person podcast. So it's as simple as doing something like that. And then you can see, I need to move that a little bit out the way. Still a little bit of finishing touches that need to happen. But it's a nice setup for 2-person podcast.
What are we doing? Oh, eating crisps.
But we opened this crisp packet. It's root vegetables with sea salt. Help yourself.
It's not what you think it is.
Yeah. It's like crisps, but it's got more taste. And they're like, I don't know, are they more healthy for us?
Maybe, possibly.
62% root vegetables in varying proportions: sweet potato, parsnip, beetroot, sunflower oil. Nothing else.
Oh my god. Wait.
Okay, so we can give you a quick grab a beetroot, which is a red one.
Beetroot. Oh, I don't like the red one.
I'll make sure top down.
You gotta try.
Beetroot. Okay, I'm now in together.
See?
So then let me get a close up on it. Oh, the beetroot's got a bit of a kick
I
to
know
it.
it's at the start it's got a bit of a...